In this video, I will be sharing my long-term review on what it's been like to go back to a rim brake bike after falling for the disc brake dark side in early 2021. I'm going to share 3 things that I don't like about being back on a rim brake bike, and then 3 things that I love about being back on a rim brake bike, concluding with my proud YouTube dickhead opinion on whether you should consider adding a rim brake bike to your fleet. Now keep in mind, I am not reviewing the 2013 BMC Team Machine ride experience, more so isolating its advantages and disadvantages as it pertains to the braking system. So the biggest thing I dislike about being back on a rim brake bike, now that I've been back on one for 15 months, are the wheels. Now, I don't mean to say that the Creative Ultra Carbon 50mm rim brake wheels that I have on the bike are bad. Not at all. I'm a huge fan of Creative wheels and I recommend them to anybody that asks whether they should buy them or not. However, if you compare their rim brake version to their disc brake version, you'll soon understand what I'm talking about. For starters, the 50mm rim brake wheels are 1400 grams. However, the disc brake equivalents that have a staggered 58 rear and 50 front are circa 10% lighter. Why? Well, according to Michael Redding, who's the owner of Creative Wheels, the technology and the engineering that goes into the hubs is a lot more advanced in the disc brake models, because that is where all the energy and focus is going on in the industry these days, making the hubs and wheels notably lighter in the disc brake versions. Secondly, the internal width on the rim brake version is 19 internal, 26 external, which is conservative for rim brake bikes. It means you're going to be able to get those wheels into all rim brake road bikes. You can get a little bit wider, I should say, but you're not going to get as wide as the disc brake versions. And with the Creative Ultras, we've got a 24 internal and a 30 external. Now, interesting to note on the BMC behind me here, we have some 28s in there, which is pretty significant for a rim brake bike. And I have fitted 2 separate 28mm tires in there to ensure it wasn't an anomaly. So on this particular rim brake bike, you can fit 28s, although keep in mind the 28 tire doesn't really suit the rim profile. So if you care about aerodynamics, there is that. Now, if you don't care about wider tires, lower PSI, rolling resistance, and all that stuff, then whatever. However, the weight element should be one we all care about, because circa 100 grams lighter on a set of wheels that are also deeper, you're going to want to take the lighter, deeper ones any day of the week. And while yes, you can buy super cheap rim brake carbon wheels on the second-hand market, the technology is now old, and even the new rim brake wheels that you will purchase, if there's a provider that's still making them, I mean, if you go to the Zip website, they have NA on their site where it used to say rim. Even the new carbon rim brake wheels that you purchase compared to disc are going to be outdated technology-wise. The second thing I don't like, or haven't liked, is the gearing. Now, I actually have an old school 1228 on this bike, and on the front of this, I'm running a 5236. So what I'm personally finding with that setup is I'm running out of gears in the 5212, often notably in the fast bunch rides where I'm pedaling downhill. Now, of course, I could change it to an 1128 on the rear or an 1130, or even update the front chain rings to a 5339, which, to be honest, that's what I wanted initially, but because I needed to replace the front chain rings, it was very hard just to find what's on it, which is probably another disadvantage in itself, being able to update these bikes with new bits and pieces when required. But I still, even if I did change, appreciate that 12 speed in the rear, particularly if you're on SRAM and the 10 tooth as somebody who likes to pedal at speed on a descent. The third thing I have not liked about being back on a rim brake bike is the braking performance in the wet. Stating the obvious here, and I know many of you will be saying, but Cam, I don't ride in the wet. Neither do I. However, there will be the odd occasion when you get caught out, as I did on this particular morning, and I can tell you the rim brake capability on carbon rims in the wet, it's hideous. It should actually be illegal now that I've gone back to it after being on disc for so long. I don't know how the pros did it for all those years. I take my hat off to them. So that's the 3 things I don't like. Here are the 3 things I love. Number 1, the price. This rim brake bike on the second-hand market cost me 1,600 Australian dollars. That's about 1,000 USD. Now don't be fooled that you just walk away and start riding the thing, because the chances are she'll still need a good once over by a professional mechanic and some bits and pieces added. In my case, it was a chain rings, a cassette, and I added some carbon bars and some nice creative carbon wheels. So yes, the bike did cost me almost 5,000 Aussie dollars, or that's just over 3,000 USD in the end. But would I prefer to race and do fast bunch rides on this 2013 BMC upgraded versus say spending 5,000 new on a BMC SLR4, which I have previously owned? I'd rather this bike any day of the week, which brings me to reason number 2, and that is the weight. Without pedals, the rim brake bike weighs 6.4 kilos. That's for a medium compared to the 5,000 modern BMC SLR, and we're talking about a 2 kilogram difference. 2 kilograms on a road bike when you are performance focused, fast bunch rides, racing, etc., is freaking massive, let me tell you. And I know there are people out there that are like, oh, better off losing 5 kilos on your body. It's not the same thing in my opinion, and especially when some of that weight, or sometimes a lot of that weight, is in the wheels. Reason number 3 is the 2 A's, agility and anxiety. Yes, I could snap a cable on a rim brake bike, but in my 15 years of cycling history, of which the first 10 were pretty much all rim focused, I have never snapped a cable while out on the road. So when I look down, I see no electronics that could potentially go wrong, which has happened to me before. There is no rubbing or ting ping ding binging, which can happen very often. It's just anxiety-free riding. From an agility perspective, being able to change the bars over without having to stick your dick in a blender, that is a good value add. I mean, I've always wanted to try these coefficient bars expert bike fitter Neil Stanbury always goes on about. Additionally, the geometry on the Team Machine actually changed in 2014. So this old school BMC geometry wasn't quite dialed for me, and I started to do some yoga consistently. Thus, I wanted to try 120mm stem, so Neil sorted me out very easily and off I went. Personally, I like the coefficient bars. They're comfortable and seem to provoke more of an inward elbow position. However, I don't like the aesthetics, and this stem bar combo has made the bike a little heavier. However, just being able to change and try things with ease is a real asset of these old school rim brake bikes. And of course, if you like working on your bikes mechanically, then it's no argument. The rim brake bike wins any day of the week. So should you add a rim brake bike to your fleet? Well, if you've got the available budget and if you've already got a couple of disc brake bikes, I personally think absolutely. But where I'm really dialed in now is if you've got that sort of budget around the 5,000 to 6,000 AUD, that's about 3,500 USD, and you want that sort of first performance focused race bike, and you could only have one bike, would you buy a rim brake bike, dirt cheap, pimp it up like I've done, or buy like a entry mid-tier level Specialized BMC Cannondale that's going to be probably 2 kilos heavier? I would 100% be doing this. Yes, it's a little bit outdated, and the wheels that you're going to be able to buy aren't going to be at the same technologically advanced level, but if that's the only budget you've got, you're going to walk away with some carbon wheels versus some crappy alloy wheels that'll be stock on one of these bikes. Your performance, despite the tire clearance and the tire size and width and rolling resistance, is going to be better, I am certain, on a rim brake bike. So that is my new perspective now that I've been on a rim brake bike for about 15 months. Be keen to get your thoughts below, and of course, if you got value out of this dickhead YouTuber's opinion today or view, I'll be keen to get your thumbs up on the video. Helps the channel out, and I'll catch you in the next one.